Jeremy's not here because he's having fun at the ClickFunnels event, teaching people how to sell. And then you stuck with me and Sam. So Sam, do you want to tell us what you do? And after I tell what I'm supposed to do, but I never do.
That's pretty accurate. So if you guys haven't had a conversation with me, haven't met me, my name is Sam Greiner. Marco and Jeremy and Matt brought me on a couple months ago to start out as an accountability coach and then kind of take over as head of delivery. So my job is to make sure we fill in the gaps that I noticed when I was a client in the program, make sure that we're actually taking care of you guys the way that we should. Because like our goal is to help all of you get better at sales, right? So all the changes we make to programs, all the changes we make to scheduling, call times, things like that. Those are all what we feel are in your best interest. We don't always get it right. So we're open to feedback. So as long as you let us know, we can take care of that. Marco, what is it that you're supposed to do but never do?
Yeah, I'm the chief revenue officer, chief strategy officer at the and what I do is I do the overall strategy of the business for increased revenue. Really fun job. I used to be a sales guy in this business and other businesses. 2019, I made $1 million straight in commission.
How many?
1 mil in 2019. Yeah.
Yikes.
And I was one of the students of Jeremy coming up, and after I end up being one of his business partner, and now you stuck with me on the lives. So
you sold me back in 2021.
Yeah. We're gonna do two things today. We're gonna interview Sam for a brief time, and after I actually built up a really cool training about objection handling. So if you got someone else also that struggles with objection handling, tag him in this training because I think he's gonna get a lot of value. I really hope, right? Because that's pretty much what I do and what we teach for especially the 3.0 clients in terms of objection handling as they start. Yep. Okay, so question for you, Sam. Number one, how do you get into NPQ in the first place? But beside me selling you into the inner circle, right?
So I actually found Matt first. If you guys have never seen his "You're Not Worth 20% video, it's fantastic. And that was kind of an abrupt shock, right? Because everybody else at that point was selling sales training as a biz op, like learn this crazy skill and like get out of your 9 to 5 and make 10K a month, like we've all seen those ads. So that was how I found Matt, was just like randomly in my Facebook, like Reels feed or whatever they called it, the video feed at that time. So started checking everybody out, found Sales Sniper first, and then realized that you guys had all learned from the same person, and then did a little bit more digging and wished Jeremy a happy birthday, and then I was an Inner Circle client 2 days later. So don't wish Jeremy happy birthday unless you want to actually learn how to sell more and get better at your job.
But beside the program, right, Sam, like the Inner Circle 3.0 and 2.0, right? What's from where you were selling to what was taught to you by Jeremy, what was the biggest change?
Yeah. So when I got into Inner Circle, I was selling solar, which I know we have a ton of reps in the program that sell solar now. And the company that I was working with was using somebody else in the market for their training. And it was very boiler room pushy, like a lot of assumptive selling, a lot of just slamming people and objections, stuff like that. One of the reasons that I never got into sales when I was younger was my idea of a sales guy, stereotypical sales guy, is like Danny DeVito from Matilda. Just like a greasy little dude, winding the odometer back, stuff like that. And I ended up getting into sales after I was in construction for a while, just didn't want to do it anymore. And like when I found Matt, found Jeremy, and kind of like found NEPQ, before I even really knew what it was, like it was just such a different way of having a sales conversation. Like everything like made sense. Like I was already doing a lot of that stuff in conversations naturally. I've always been a fairly efficient communicator. So like finding a process that allowed me to, kind of expand more into expand on the good things that I was already doing, and then eliminate a lot of the things that I didn't realize were, having detrimental effects in the conversation was really, really cool. Right. And then having a structure to follow that like makes sense. You're not
Yeah.
doing all these crazy loops or crazy stuff to try and logic trap people. You're just asking them questions that actually make sense and are easy to answer. Like was super refreshing compared to some of the, like you'd be tired by the end of some sales calls, man, depending on what process you're in, because there's just so much stuff going on.
Yeah, that's the things. The good things about having a structure that is replicable. So even if you do 10 sales calls a day, they're pretty much similar, right? So you don't have to wing it from the hip left and right each call, because that's what gets you tired. If you're going through five, six conversation where you're trying to make it happen a day, I don't know how long you're going to be in sales if you do that. Question for you. You went from the boiler room methodology, type of methodology, into an NPQ. What's the first question that you did replace? And what's a bad question for you? A bad question in sales they used to have on that script?
Yeah, so it's one that I actually hear fairly often, people coming in with like now, like even still, like kind of the way that I was shown, the way that everybody kind of did it in that company, like in solar, somebody would say something and then it wasn't even really a question. It was, so what I'm hearing you say is, and then they would give like a parodied version that is more in line with, more conducive to me, like making the sale, but isn't what they said or isn't even what they meant. And just like learning how to actually like clarify on what people mean was the biggest thing, was like no more saying things back with a little bit of a different flavor so that it made more sense for me, but like isn't really what they said at all.
Yeah. So for me, the bad question that I'm hearing a lot is either it's always at the start. Like I don't feel people, that's generally, a lot of people don't fuck up calls at the middle of the calls, or either like at 2 quarters in, they fuck it up bad at the start, that there's no turning back from there. And he's like,
they set the tone wrong out of the gate, and then they're fighting an uphill battle, or they're fighting off the back foot the whole time.
So they either have this long agenda on the start, or either have these what's the weather type of things, like they build
a lot of rapport, talk about a lot of nonsense
type of things. And I think that's like that. If you set that up, that you're never gonna have a good sales process. And that's me. Like, of course, like if you're watching this and you have that question there, I'm not directly telling you, hey, you should sell. Like, that's not the way it works. This is, for me, as my experience of selling, I used to sell since I was 15 years old, right? I sold door to door, fast internet. Now you call it fiber. Before we used to call it, we used to call it ADSL. So, right. So I used to.
Man, you're really dating yourself there. That was pre 2010.
Yeah. That's the first things I used to sell. And like by doing all the experience, the bad salespeople, as bad, they didn't make a ton of money, but the one that used to had a lot of fluff on the start, like a lot of it, for no fucking reason. And they would have lose report as they go, because they couldn't keep that momentum. It is not bad asking about the weather, but if you can't ask about the weather during the calls, when you have about a couple of questions that gets like interesting and they can make you do the sale. Now, because you went from the solar, and after you went to some of the sales sniper offers, and of course, like that, on my side, you've been a little bit unlucky on like what kind of offer you had. What happened after? Did you
say that? Lucky or laggy?
Unlucky.
Oh, unlucky. Okay.
Unlucky, yeah. What's the things that make you, because like now I hear you good at sales, like you're fairly good. What's the switch?
Thanks.
Like when do you feel you became more good at sales?
Yeah. So in the beginning, like, because I wasn't taking that many calls, right? For those of you who don't know, I have one leg that gets brought up on training calls fairly frequently. As a door-to-door sales guy, like, not making any excuses, sometimes it's pretty rough walking up hills in Pittsburgh when you have one leg. You got to zigzag across the street and all this crazy stuff. So like I wasn't taking many calls because I wasn't door knocking. Like we had a canvas team. Those of you that do in-home sales know what that is. So we had a team of door knockers basically that would set appointments. So between the no-show rate from having the handoff from somebody else and then just, not having good weather in Pittsburgh where solar makes as much sense as it does other places, I wasn't really doing as many calls, right? So like I had a lot more knowledge really than I had experience to be able to apply, which is something that I see, you know, as people are coming through fairly frequently. So like for me, it was actually getting on an offer where I could take more calls, like, and actually have more sales interactions with people, right? One of the things I think is important to note for everybody, Matt's made a ton of money. Marco's made a ton of money. Talis has made a ton of money. Jeremy's made a ton of money, right? Jeremy's was selling door to door in 2001. Some of you weren't even born at that point. Some of us were single digits at that point.
Yeah,
right? Marco's been selling for 50. Yeah, same thing here. We're the same age. So Marco's been selling for 15 years. So Marco has 13 and a half years more sales experience than I do. So like coming into a process like NEPQ, something to keep in mind for everybody is you're not going to do what Marco is able to do or Matt is able to do out of the gate. That's a cool goal to shoot for sure. But like they have 13 and a half years leading up to that overnight success, right? They were able to apply the knowledge that they had and the experience that they had using NEPQ to improve their process that was already good enough for what they knew how to do at the time. So for me, to circle back to your question, for me, it was just getting volume of conversations and learning how people react to me, like with how I'm using NEPQ. One of the biggest, I don't even know if it was a compliment, it was just something my dad said a couple of weeks ago, was like, hey man, you don't have a phone voice anymore. And like, for me, it's always been, I could be swearing, I could be having fun with my friends or whatever. As soon as the phone rang, no matter who it was, hello, this is Sam. As soon as the phone rang, like it was just somebody completely different. So being comfortable in the sales process and then understanding like how all of the pieces fit together and why we're asking connecting questions, why it's actually important to get through that without spending a bunch of time figuring out why they're on the call, like actually understanding and not just saying I understand when somebody asks me, like actually understanding how all the pieces fit together allowed me to then like find my own voice in the process, right? Like I don't really have there's not a different version of me on sales calls anymore, if that makes sense. Like, and we see that a lot because we role play with people and coaching calls and stuff like that.
Exactly right.
But like, there's not really a sales Sam anymore. It's just me having a conversation with somebody on a sales call. It just happens to be a sales call instead of a visit.
It's such a good point because a lot of people, what you buy, right? If you buy whatever we offer in terms of NPU, but especially the coaching side, is the experience that we have on the mistakes that you're gonna do. Right. So that's the biggest ROI that you're gonna get in the first 30 days. Right. So you're asking stupid question, we delete them. After that, what you buy is understanding what you're doing. So the day 30 to 60 should be, hey, there is a reason why you're asking those questions. And that's still a piece of experience, right? Because a lot of people will go like, well, but you didn't ask an NPQ question right there. Yes, because I've been through more, like just the year that I sold $1 million straight in commission, I sold like 125 people a month. And I used to have a 70 to 80% closing rate. There's still a piece of people that didn't used to sell, but like it's the conversation there. What a ton, man. Like a ton of conversation. Think about 15 years. So I understand language really well. So I know when someone is a non-buyer. I know when I can see an objection from far away. Most of the times in the training session, when we review the inner circle calls, but also the 3.0, I'll tell you, you're gonna get to think about the objections. Like, how the fuck you know that? I was like, dude, I've been doing this since I was 15. Like, you can tell the language. So the day 60 to the day until the 6th month, once you have the script, once you understand the question, once you get out of your own head, some people get into their own head, then you go and learn language. Just like, that's why we listen to calls. And that's why we are in group sessions, because it helps to understand the perspective of everybody. Yeah. Right. So the biggest learning curve is you buy an experience. If you don't want it, if you don't, it's fine. If you want, speak with one of our guys, do hashtag NEPQ down below, somehow, or either message Jeremy, because I know that he's in holidays.
Sorry, I wasn't expecting a call to action there, buddy. You got me. You got me.
Trick, mate. So, but if you
Hold a
if you
fast
actually
one.
if you want to speak with Jeremy, message him on LinkedIn, IG, all those places, he's definitely gonna reply to you because as right now he ain't doing nothing. So we're good. All right.
He's gonna be
So
so mad when he watches this.
I love Jeremy. Jeremy is doing today. He's teaching people at the inner circle,
The
inner circle
ClickFunnels mastermind over in
ClickFunnels
Boise
stuff.
with Russell.
Yeah, he's trying to save some businesses. So he's on that journey right now this week. Now, from the cool part of this live, we got 10 minutes. But I built something. It was supposed to be done yesterday, but Facebook didn't allow us to go live. I built something for the people, and that's completely for free. I just want you to do it. Not trying to sell you anything on this particular side of it. I just want you to fucking go and learn objection handling a little bit, right? So I'm gonna share my screen. Since I got an accent, me and Sam, we developed a really good relationship of Sam asking me questions, what the fuck is going through my head? So people can understand.
Oh, yeah, I forgot. Also, on my official job title is Marco Translator and Marco Wrangler when he goes off the deep end.
Exactly right. So this one is the system. Let's say is the objection handling process that I use, that I learned from Jeremy, I learned from other coaches that I had, I learned from my own experience during the years, right? Now, it might work for you, might not work for you. It works for a ton of people right now, especially in the 3.2 inner circle, but up to you if you want to use it or not. So
now, Marco, this thing's pretty busy. Like, what do we have? What do we have going on here, man?
Yeah. So I start from the first part, which is the presentation. So the objection, and I'm a big believer that it's just three objections, which is money, time, and value, right? So the reason why so the reason why I tell people the presentation is your first step of all pre-handle objections is because if you don't present well, you're always gonna enter a value objection, and a value objection is when people say, I don't see the value into this, is really fucking difficult to turn around because all of a sudden you're selling something that they don't see the benefit on it. So what I did, I added those two questions, which is the check-in questions, to see and pre-handle a value objection. For example, let's say you go through your presentation. What we do is that, and we do it because you remember when you said you had an issue with not having leads. Well, what we do is blah, blah, blah. You go through the stuff. You finish to the presentation, you're going to like, well, it seems like that we cover all the basic on how to help you to fix the problem with X, Y, and Z. So you tied everything back to a problem. Now, do you feel that this could be the answer for you? Yes. But why though? If they don't say yes, but they say, stop right there. There's no chance of going forward if they don't see the value. Am I explaining well, Sam?
Yeah, we haven't got to the part that I was going to clarify on yet.
Yeah. So having the yes and having to justify the yes is going to pre-handle a value objection. Let's say, you remember that you say that you can't sell, or you don't have a script, or you don't know how to work on objection. Yes. Well, what we give you is this. Now, that covers all the basic on how to help you with X, Y, and Z. Now, do you feel that this can get you to 20K a month in sales? Yes. But
maybe.
why though? Well, if you go maybe, then you go like, well, you don't seem so sure. Do you mind if I ask you what's preventing you to be certain on something like this? Oh, I don't like that. Okay, that makes sense. Then you explain them there. So then you gotta be in there even explaining, because what I found, and that's particularly from me, since I got an accent, when you present stuff in your head makes sense, on the other side it doesn't. So it can just be a game of words, right? Then you have the yes, but why though? The why sell them themselves, or why that is.
Now, Marco, when you're asking why, like, are you looking for like a specific, like, tangible part of the program as an answer there, or like, what are you actually looking for?
No. Everything from now on, but also before, if you know NPQ, but everything from now on is all emotional. But so they would tell you, oh, because you have this script. Okay, but beside the script though, like why? It's like, no, because I'm gonna have the certainty to know what I'm doing in sales. Okay, that makes total sense. You see, like it's the certainty because you can use, so there you have your notes into a sales call and you write here certainty in sales because that's the ammunition that you're gonna use in the objection handling. A lot of people here, and if you're watching, it's like, oh, I run out of words. Well, you run out of words because you don't know what to say because you haven't asked enough whys, or you don't know why, what drives them. That's why you're running out of words.
And we're talking specifically like they run out of ways to try and handle objections.
Exactly
like
right.
Things to say.
Yeah, right. Because after someone tells you like, well, I don't have the money. It's like, well, but how are you ever going to have the money if you're not certain in what you sell, or either certain in the way how you sell? So you can have a fair debate, because what objection handling is a debate. At the end, or either they're going to sell you on why they cannot do it, or either you sell them on why they can't fall into the limitation. Yeah. Someone is going to always be sold at the end of this. It's like just the way it is. It's a debate. All right.
Yeah.
So you better have enough ammunition for you to build those frames. And I get a lot of people in my DM say, "Hey man, give me a frame." It's like, well, based on what? if I don't know exactly what the prospect tells you, there is no frame, because someone that is looking for certainty has a different frame than someone is looking for reassurance.
Yeah.
Right?
And Marco, why is it so important to, I guess, like use the emotional benefit or the certainty or what it would allow them to do? Like, because we see a lot of people handle objections with, the scripting or the coaching calls or like whatever thing, right, that they're selling is why, right? They start preaching features and benefits when they handle objections. Why is that less effective than using like the actual thing that it allows them to do?
Well, one thing that I teach in 3.0 is selling water in the desert, right? That's been a frame of things that I built on when I was flying from Melbourne to LA last month, right? Because that explains this. Everyone needs a glass of water in the desert, especially if you walk in a town. But there is a specific reason why they need it. Because they need to do it because, number one, they need to be alive, but alive for someone, for their family. Or for them to be able to be someone. I want to still live another day because I want to be the best. That's what's going to get them to turn around, is that belief, right? That things is the things that turns them around. Now, of course, if I keep pushing you, saying your glass of water is going to save you, this is what I say. And what I say in a call never matters. But what you feel is what's going to change your point of view. Because what you're trying to do is change them into that state. They go from a state of non-buyer to a state of buyer. And what changes a state is language, meaning, and physiology. So it's the meaning of what they feel the situation is. If the situation is, hey, dude, it's too much money, well, but in compared to what? Right? Is in compared to the glass of water being the only things you can have? It's like, fuck, man, it's fine. If you didn't compare or living another day for see your family, you see how the scales, if you put it on a scale, that scale start tipping on the way of like, now it makes sense.
Yeah.
So on that yes here and the why, you have to get an emotional tie down. Then you go into the transition. Transition is like, well, is the way how you present the price. This one, 99.9% of people that jump into the inner circle, they have it all wrong. Now, I don't say that what I teach is right. There is a lot of other good sales trainer out there, a lot of other good sales guy. They've probably done one industry and they teach other people. And overall, there is what we teach is a unified way of saying the price that works, right?
Yeah.
It's fairly simple. And I'm going to teach it on this course so you guys can take it. So the funding needed for us to fix the problem with is you give them the full price. Now, we do have payment plans available, but clients don't really do that because they end up paying more and getting the same things. Any question on how that works? So that you try to tie down the payment plans objection because you want to make them commit on the full amount, not on the payments. They have to be committed of changing, not on the first payment. It's like, oh, do the first $3,000 and after we see. It's like, no. You gotta be committed to 10. That's a 10 grand decision, man. It's not a 3 grand decision. 3 grand is the path, 10 is the decision.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That's something I got from Grant. Grant is really good at that. It's like you gotta commit.
You're not making a $30,000 decision, man. You're making a $300,000 decision.
Yeah, exactly right. Exactly right. I got that from Grant. Grant is also some of the things that he teaches, special objection is not bad, right?
Yeah.
It probably works for him, but I don't know how it works for a lot of people, but it's still good.
Yeah.
Now, then you stop the payment plan, right? It's like, okay, so you any question how that works? You give them a rough explanation about the payment plans, and after you tie it back down. Seems like I covered all the basic. How would you like to go from here? Which is the close. Now that's where the trick starts, because a lot of people, they will go into reactional mode. So they react on what the other person they say. I embrace the objection. So I'm assuming a no. Don't assume a yes, because you're going to get really disappointed. That's the biggest trick that I want everybody that is watching the live is, I don't even know if everybody is watching this live. Let's say if there is at least one person watching this, please expect a no, because you overcome an objection from a state of disappointment. You're just going to rant at them. You know, when someone tells you you're pushy, it's because you are feeling rejected and you're trying to overcome an objection. It's just a feeling. Because when you expect a yes and you get in a no, that's rejection. Now, saying so, if you learn an APQ, those yes are quite often there because Jeremy teaches how to prehandle objections, right? But if you get in there, because I feel like that's why I wanted to teach this today, because most of the people watching might know how to use all the questions. They can use this and make more sales tomorrow, right? So there you're going to let them expand the objection. You stay back and listen. What you need to listen is the language. They give me a money objection, a time objection, and a value objection. Now, a lot of you guys are thinking, how about the partners? The partner objections sometimes can be valid. Sometimes it's just a BS because they don't want to tell you what the real objection is. So if someone tells you, I need to go ask my partner, that's not a problem. Just so that I can help. Can I ask you how you mean by asking to your partner? Oh, we need to check if we have the budget. That's a money objection. Everything related to budget, everything related, we don't gotta check if we have the money, is a money objection. There you go, like money aside, would you do it? Yes, but why? So there you take the wife objection getting out of the way, money aside, would you do it? Yes, why? Then they give you oh, because this program is really good. It's like, but beside the program, brother, because it's gonna get me to live a better life because I can learn how to sell. Fuck yeah, man, perfect, right? Because now you got living a better life. Now, can I make a suggestion? Yes. If you want to live a better life, do you have to make better decisions? They're like, well, how you mean? Well, right now you're thinking in the same way how someone will make 3K a month thinks. If you want to make 10 to 20K a month, what would that person think? So then you lead yourself into what? Of reframes. Now, set of reframes, you're going to learn it, right? We're not going to go through that today, but at least I gave you something to get to the objection handling with a nice and a decent process. Shout out to people that are watching. They haven't got bored. By the way, we done the 30 minutes. We got to go. Hopefully that's been helpful to some people. If you want us to reach out, if you want to ask Jeremy also as well, how do we get to $1 million straight commission? Just ask him all the questions, send him all that, and all good. Really hope you enjoyed the training, and I really hope to see you in 3.0 IC anytime soon. See ya, guys.
Hey guys, if you enjoyed these, here's another you can watch. Join our free Sales Revolution group. Click the link below, join us, and we're going to help you. Thanks for watching. We'll see you real soon.